Hey, this is Jeff here. I'm here to give you guys my thoughts on the 2019 Philadelphia Eagles preseason. I want to take a look at the depth chart today and give you my thoughts as the Eagles are ready to take on the Tennessee Titans this weekend. And kind of let's just see what the team's got in store for them this year. Let's switch over to the defense now. This is where things get a little bit interesting because we've got some guys that are kind of banged up here. Derek Barnett, a guy that's coming off a shoulder surgery, he's not going to play right away, so he's going to be out. Who hopefully will project right now as our right defensive end. Brandon Graham returns as the left defensive end. The big question mark in defensive end this year coming in training camp is Josh Sweat. You know, Josh got banged up last year. Don't forget he was injured a lot during his college career. If he wasn't injured as much, he would have been a much higher draft pick. This is a big opportunity for him to come in to see if he can be the guy. You know, if he can be the guy, then I think, you know, that can be the guy to be one of our main rotational pieces. Vinny Curry's back as a backup defensive end, but Vinny's not a guy that you can expect to be a pass rush specialist. That's more what Josh Sweat's out there for. Vinny's more just there to be a reserve. And after that, once again, we've got some question marks. The fact that the team just lost Joe Osman to an ACL, there's some opportunities. Sharif Miller has not had a good camp, a guy which I thought maybe they could give him a phantom injury. Maybe he pulls a hangnail and he's out for the year. But they're going to probably carry at least 5, maybe 6 defensive ends. But we've got to see between Edebali, Miller, Deshaun Hall, and see if anyone else comes in. Does Connor Barwin possibly make his return? I don't think Chris Long is going to come back. I know that's been speculated, but if Chris Long comes back, he's looking to play in the NASCAR package. Because of the defensive tackles, they're not going to do that as much this year. So they're going to have to really rely on what they got unless they pick someone else in. Let's talk about the defensive tackles. So the signing of Malik Jackson, a huge pickup, a guy that can play the run, but really play the pass well. He's the guy that's going to come in and play next to Fletcher Cox. Let's not forget Cox is banged up, you know, so we're not going to see a whole lot of him really in camp. But the rest of this group is extremely strong. Timmy Jernigan looks like the Timmy Jernigan we saw before all his injuries. He's feeling really good about things. Hopefully we'll see a lot of him during preseason and playing well in the regular season. Hassan Ridgeway's had a very good camp, a guy we picked up as a 7th round pick from the Colts. Bruce Hector's back, but I don't expect a whole lot from Bruce because he's got a lot of guys he's got to compete in front of him. And Trayvon Hester's been a guy that the team really liked. Let's not forget, he's a guy that played to the role of the double doink play up in Chicago where he helped block the ball to allow for the missed field goal. But a solid group. Very intrigued to see exactly how this group develops and how they kind of come together. Linebackers. Of course, Kamu Grugier-Hill out 6 to 8 weeks with the MCL grade 3 sprain. The rest of this group, you know, it's going to be interesting. First off, how many linebackers do we take? You know, and that's where the numbers game kind of comes in. You know, we look at defensive end, we could take 5, we could take 6. Tackle, we could take 4, we could take 5, we could take, you know, probably max of that. As we go on to the next couple of weeks, I kind of get back with you guys. That's when it's really going to become fun because you could take a name pretty much from every single spot and say, okay, they could make the team. Well, if they make the team, someone else doesn't make the team. Someone's going to get cut and someone's going to get themselves a great player. So if we take a look at this position here, you know, Nate Gary right now steps up to be the guy behind Kamu. Nigel Bremen right now is slided to be the middle linebacker with Zach Brown being the outside linebacker. Zach's been a little silent so far in camp. I think he needs to be given more of an opportunity, but once again, we'll see. The team in the past has carried as little, I should say, as 5 linebackers. I could see between 5 and 6 coming back this year. Questions of who are going to be the next guys. So between Gary, Kamu, which we're not going to see till a couple weeks into the season, Nigel, Zach Brown, LJ Fort pretty much make up the group of the 5. But then after that, who's going to be the next guy that's going to come in and step in? You know, Alex Singleton out of Canada has shined a little bit. One of those guys that's just absolutely ferocious out there, just a tackle machine. TJ Edwards, to me, is the one guy I think that kind of stands out above the rest, is the undrafted free agent middle linebacker out of Wisconsin. To me, I think he's got a nice makeup about him, a guy that I think just needs to show a lot, and if he can, maybe he can push some of these other guys. Once again, if we're only carrying 5 linebackers, where do these guys kind of fit in a little bit? Next, we're heading out into the cornerback position. We, of course, know our starting corners, both Jalen Mills and Ron Darby, are both currently injured. Ron is active. Jalen's on PUP, so hopefully, well, my guess at this point is Jalen probably is going to be on PUP through the beginning of the preseason, which means we won't see him until at least week 6, week 7. Ron Darby, I would anticipate we'll probably see sometime in the early part of the regular season. But once again, it's unknown. You know, that's the hope at this point. It's my anticipation, but it's the hope. Sidney Jones has had a solid camp so far. A guy that's kind of long overdue. A guy that's been banged up between the Achilles the first year, last year banged up. You know, opportunity for him. Rasul Douglas and Avonte Maddox have made up the rest of the secondary. Guys that played a lot last year and guys that should have played a lot. You know, really being given opportunities. I think they're going to be given opportunities here in preseason, a chance for them to shine, and guys that should be out there. This is our future. As we take a look at what this team's going to look like in years to come, there's major question marks for that cornerback position. I mean, you have potential free agents here in Brazil Douglas next year, Jalen Mills after this year, Ron Darby after this year. Sidney Jones actually has an extra year because the year he was injured. Craven LeBlanc's free after this year. So who knows what this secondary is going to look like, especially at the cornerback position. Speaking of LeBlanc, he's out for quite some time. A guy that's dealing with the Liz Frank injury. Liz Frank injury also is what happened to Jalen Mills, and that's going to be a little bit costly one because that's going to cost him some time. So because of that, they went and picked up Orlando Scandrick, former Cowboy, former Chief, a guy that I think will contribute as being that secondary nickel, but he also is a guy that's just a veteran. Right now we've got a bunch of guys out here that are in their first, second, third year, a guy that can come in and contribute and help definitely wherever needed across the board. The rest of the guys with Liggins, McKinnon, Eugene Green, a guy was just brought in the other day, guys I don't see really making the roster. They're going to carry a 5 and maybe 6 corners on this team. It's just a matter of seeing between this group. Right now we're looking at 7 really in Green. Jalen probably starting on PUP, so that probably takes you to the 6. Last spot is safety. Big mystery here because I would anticipate the team would take 4. I think they could take as many as 5. Right now your starters are Malcolm Jenkins and Rodney McLeod. Sendejo right now is your top backup, and then after that it gets a little interesting. The team just picked up Jonathan Cyprien, a guy who can play that hybrid role of playing linebacker and safety, a guy who could definitely fit into this scheme here, especially with the injury to Camus. Maybe he slides over and takes Camus' spot for a little bit, especially when they play the big nickel spot. There's definitely question marks, but there's a lot of talent. It's a good problem to have when you have this much depth on the team here right now. So as I see it right now, I think McLeod makes it. Obviously Jenkins makes it. Sendejo makes it. Cyprien, I think, should have a good chance. And then if that's the case, then okay, well, now we're looking at 4. We're looking at 5. If we're looking at 5, well, then we're looking at Trey Sullivan, a guy who's played a couple years here. He's definitely put his time in. Team thinks very highly of him, but what else do you have to offer? If you're going to be the 5th safety, you're even going to get on the field. Someone like Blake Countess has been a kick returner. He at least offers something else, But if that's all Blake's offering, is there someone else on this team that can definitely offer something else? And that would eliminate his spot. The fact that Blake is here, but we've added other people like Cyprien, in the past week or two, maybe that's, takes his chances down or not. But once again, that's why they play the games. That's what preseason football here. Obviously, the specialists, between Cam, Jake, and Rick, there's no competition there. They've got the spots wrapped up. So that's pretty much my preview here on what our depth chart's going to look like here as we begin week 1 of the preseason here, taking on the Titans this weekend. Looking forward to it. Football's back. I'll be back with you guys next week to talk to you in the preview and see where we're at, see if we've made some roster moves as we get ready to take on Jacksonville. Enjoy the game versus the Titans. Go Birds. Hey, this is Jeff here. I'm here to give you guys my thoughts on the 2019 Philadelphia Eagles preseason. I want to take a look at the depth chart today and give you my thoughts as the Eagles are ready to take on the Tennessee Titans this weekend. And kind of let's just see what the team's got in store for them this year.